Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Gudrun Bergman, and I am a spiritual guide. I am also somebody's wanting to join now. I'm also an astrologer, and I've been in astrology since 1984. And it's helped me a lot because in 2004, my late husband passed away. And at that time, we were running a hotel, and we didn't have Zoom at that time. Only not further back than 2004. And I needed to hire everybody for the summer season to the hotel. And I hadn't seen the people. I just got a picture from an agency, and all I had to go by were the dates they were born. So I sat down with what I call my ephemeris that show me the position of the planets. It doesn't make charts like the one that I have here. It doesn't, just the line of the planets and at which degree they were. And then I had two kind of stacks. Over here were the ones that I was not going to hire, and over here were the ones I was going to hire, just based on their birthday. And so I could see one year that there would be a lot of breakage in the kitchen because I had a lot of people in Aries, and they're always moving about with not always care. And I hired one person, and I'm thinking like, what is she doing applying for a job in a hotel? She's an outdoor person. Turned out she was a ski instructor from Norway and was skiing all the winter, and she wanted to come work in Iceland. And as soon as she had a break, she was climbing mountains or walking through the lava fields everywhere around. So you can tell so much by astrology. But what I'm going to talk about to you today are the changes that are happening in the world right now that are tremendous because we haven't had planetary positions like these in 6,300 years at least, and some say even 14,000 years. So it's a shift that is happening with everybody present. So we're going through it in our bodies. So what I normally do for people is I make a chart like this. And what makes my astrology charts different from everybody else is that I do not only have the 10 planets, which are the sun representing the self, the moon representing the subconscious mind, uh, Mercury representing our thinking and talking, Venus, our relationships, Mars, the way in which we use our energy and execute things, how we do everything, Jupiter, which is about our growth and expansion, Saturn, which is about the limits we put up, like we could say the fence we put around our lives or the box we live in because we've been so conditioned by our parents and their parents and their parents, so we can go back many generations. And the good thing about our fences is that Saturn has been in Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. So it's been there now for, I think, a year and a half. And what happens when you put fence poles into, you know, soil that is water-based is that the posts will fall down. So the boundaries that we've had are beginning to expand and they're beginning to fall down. So what we can say is that our fence is down because our mind is expanding. And so that's one thing, but Saturn is also helping us build new things to grow with. Now, after Saturn, we have Uranus. Uranus is about the unexpected in our lives, the change, of course, that our lives will take. And then we have Neptune, which is about our dreams, very important. It's also about our intuition and our we say kind of higher learning in terms of spirituality. And then we have Pluto, and Pluto is like a tree in a sense. You know, Pluto grows up to a certain we could say fills out with leaves and everything during the summertime, and then all the leaves die. And then, tree doesn't die, but all the leaves die. So in spring we get the new one. So Pluto is about death and rebirth and the time in between where we're developing new things. And the other thing that my charts contain are the dwarf planets. The dwarf planets were discovered in the year 2000, and what we are now, it's like we didn't see them before. Our consciousness didn't perceive them, although they were around us. So what has been happening all the time, all the way back from 1987, is we've been preparing for this, what we call the Great Awakening, meaning that our consciousness expanding, so we see and understand more energies around us. The dwarf planets, they all come from they're part of we could say, the quantum field, where we can create anything if we learn to use the energy. So they're teaching us, they're taking us to a higher level in our lives. And so it's really important to know how they're affecting our chart. And I'm going to hold it up like this. That's the only thing that I can at the moment. So you see it probably a little bit, is that in the dead center of the chart is a little circle, and around that circle are the numbers from 1 to 12. And that's because we divide a house of the chart. We divide the chart into 12 houses, and they're indicated by these black lines. So it's a little bit like slices in a pie. And the birth chart is usually what you see in here, inside this circle here. And that does not change. It's because we come in to Earth with certain planetary alignments based on what we're going to learn during this lifetime. What changes are the planets in the blue circle out here. And they then affect the planets in our birth chart and make or help us respond in a way that helps us either grow, or we have a resistance to growing, and then we usually have to grow through pain. Because, sometimes we need to be kicked, excuse the language, kicked in the ass before we move. So the way in which I see it is that it's much better to have an indication of what is about to happen in our lives because of the planetary positions than to wake up one day and being kicked in the ass. Because at least we can prepare. It's a little bit like a weather report. So we can prepare. Now, Pluto has moved into Aquarius, and Pluto is about breaking down systems. And you can see that the systems are breaking down everywhere. Even the Norwegian crown is trembling because of things that are happening there. So, and in most cases, systems do not work. The immigration system doesn't work in any of the Scandinavian countries. The healthcare system, I don't know what it's like in your country, but it's really crumbling here. You have to wait for just a general practitioner, which is kind of your doctor, maybe for a month and a half to get an appointment. They're always on leave or somewhere because they have so many benefits. And the educational system is also crumbling, at least here in Iceland. So a lot of changes are happening because of Pluto moving into Aquarius, because we've had a top-down government. We have, and so what's basically happened is that there are so many at the top and so many at the bottom trying to feed the top that we have a pyramid upside down. Because at least here in Iceland, we have way too many people who are working for the government and the system. And so it's breaking down. And Pluto's in Aquarius. And Pluto's teaching us that we need to learn to be on equal basis. So that's one of the big changes we're going through. Pluto is at 4 degrees in Aquarius. And one of the big planetary alignments right now is the one that we have all these big changes now in February. On the 17th of February, we had a new moon. We had a new moon at 28 degrees of Aquarius, opposite, no, not opposite, with a 90-degree aspect with Uranus. The sun and the moon are together at the new moon, and so both the government and the people are being pushed to lift the lid of all their secrets because of Uranus. Uranus kind of brings everything to the surface. We keep waiting for an eruption here in Iceland because that's another thing that's brought to the surface. We also expect, well, we have earthquakes all the time, so that's nothing unusual. They've been relatively small, but larger in certain areas. And our weather's been very strange here because we've had the mildest winter most people can remember. For example, here in the capital area, we have only had 2 days of snow this winter from fall till now. And that's unusual. So we have the old saying, it's the calm before the storm. Whatever the storm will be, we'll have to face it when it happens. But we have so many volcanoes that that's likely to erupt. Plus, we have a political situation that is basically erupting all the time. And so you have eruptions among the people too. And this is one of my charts, and you can see I've put a lot of points into it and lines that are not the lines that my computer system makes. And one of the, okay, so we had the new moon. We also had the beginning of the Chinese New Year. I'm sure you heard about that on the 17th, the fire horse. Now, the fire horse, it's burning, so it's going to move fast. So everything's going to be really fast this year. And there are going to be innovations because of Pluto being in Aquarius. And there are going to be so many things changing that it's really important for us to learn to balance ourselves and stay in our center no matter what happens around us. Be prepared, but be prepared first and foremost emotionally, and of course physically too, that helps. But stability and earth connected is important. And then day before yesterday on the 20th, Neptune and Saturn, I don't know if you've heard about this from astrologers in Norway, but Neptune and Saturn, they went into 0 degrees. Actually, they were conjunct right next to each other at 0 degrees of Aries and 44 minutes. Now, these two planets, they've been conjunct before in other signs, but they've never been conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It is also the 0 degree is the creator's degree, and it is on what is called the world axis. Zero, the world axis is Aries to Libra, and what's the other one is see, it's Capricorn to Cancer. So being on the world axis, then the changes are not just going to affect certain countries, it's going to affect everybody. And this conjunction is so much about our dream. Neptune is our dream, and Neptune is like, where do we desire to take our life and or lives, and what kind of a world do we want to create? That's our dream. How do we want to be in the world, and how do we want to see the world around us? And this conjunction is going to help us build that. We talk about the beginning of the Aquarian age being in 2032, which is only 6 years away. And so we're stepping into kind of the first molding or shaping years. So I ask everyone that comes for a reading to me to tell me, like, what is your dream? And so many people cannot answer that question. So I encourage you all to sit down after this talk with a blank piece of paper and a pen and put at the top the question, what is my dream? What do you want to see in the future? Is it travel? Is it business? Is it success in one area or another? Is it changing jobs? Is it creating something new that you've never dared to do before because you thought you weren't capable of doing it? Anything that comes to mind. It's just so important because when we travel from one point to another, it helps to know where the destination is taking us. You know, this is the destination. We're starting here. So where is it taking us? If we don't know where we're going, we're just going to run around in circles. So it's really, really important to know exactly where you're going. And I've been guiding a young lady, and I think she's been had something like 8 or 10 sessions with me, and I've asked her, "What is your dream?" And she always goes off to tell me about something else. Until last week, she said, "Well, I've always wanted to be a painter. I went to art classes when I was in school and in college, and then my parents told me I couldn't do that. I had to be something because I couldn't make a living as an artist. So I started doing something else. And now she signed up for an art class. She's going to do 4 days with a painter that paints abstract paintings. So she's going to learn from him. And she's planning to travel to Italy in the fall or Spain and find a school where she can study painting. Because, we cannot let our dream die. We need to follow our dreams, whatever dreams we have. But it took me so long to dig this out of her because she always talked about something else. Well, I'm good at doing this and I'm good at doing that. But what is your dream? So I want you to really think about that. And you can write as much as you like. And at the end of if you take 15, 20 minutes to write everything down that you feel is your dream, at the end of that, you can start looking at the list and crossing out the things that your heart is not taking you to, but that is something that you think you should do. So we're not going to be planning our future with our head. We have to plan it with our heart and work on the head-heart connection so that whatever we do is going to be heart-based. And this conjunction is going to affect all of us. It's a change in it's compared to the Industrial Revolution, the discovery of electricity, and endless other things. And we can sense it's happening. We can sense that there's a huge change happening. We don't know where it's going to take us, but if we don't have a relatively clear notion from our heart where we want to go, then we're going to be lost or kicked in the ass. Sorry, that's pretty. That is a pretty accurate thing. The other thing that is going to affect us all this year is when where are we at? When Uranus when Uranus moves into Gemini. Uranus moves into Gemini at the end of April, and Uranus is the one that kind of breaks up the old stuff. Like, okay, we're doing a revolution. We're not going to do this anymore. We're going to do that. But Uranus also in Gemini. Gemini is the communicator. It's the sign that kind of takes things from here and communicates them over here. So there's going to be tremendous things that come to secrets that have been kept quiet, things that have been hidden from people in general in the world that are going to come to the surface. And we have to understand that if we have people who are totally unaware of all the change that is happening in the world, they're going to be very confused, very confused. So we need some light givers or light bearers, or however you want to position yourself, that are willing to help people when they hit the confusion stage. And this is going to be really huge. Now, there are areas in the chart, like the ascendant is the is how you introduce yourself to the world, if you could say something like that. And the ascendant is kind of like the first impression. Like you go and meet somebody, and the first impression you have is like, okay, can I trust that person? Is she nice? You know, does she talk too much? Is she willing to listen? And other things like that. And this position between Uranus and a planet called Setna that is already in Gemini is going to be in the beginning of June. Now, this is hitting my ascendant. So the way in which I kind of introduce myself out into the world is going to change. I'm making plans to change. I have a YouTube channel in Icelandic, and I'm going to start a YouTube channel in English. That's going to be tremendous change in the way people see me, because I'm going to shorten my name. My Christian name is Gudrun, and I've been using the rune or the runa at the very end of the name. So I'm going to be Runa Bergman as I introduce myself out to the world. I'm creating a book, and I'm creating divination cards that are going to come out later this year. So I'm going to be showing that to the rest of the world through my ascendant and things that I'm working on. So it's important to know where these positions show up in your chart. Does it have to do, like, for me, it's the first house and my ascendant. First house is me personally. Second house is me and the immediate family around me. Third house is communication. I also have some interesting planets there. Fourth house is the home. It's both the home that you have today and the home that you came from, you grew up in. So you can see a lot of things that happened in your childhood there. Fifth house is it's adventure. It's, short-term love affairs and things like that. That's the fifth house. Sixth house is usually the way in which we work and provide service to people. Like, are we helping people heal, or what are we doing? And it's about our health as well. Seventh house is intimate relationships, long-term marriages, friendships, and such. Eighth house has a lot to do with death and rebirth. Unfortunately, I lost a family member this year in January, and it was a little boy, only a year and a half. And in his eighth house was Uranus and Mars, and transiting was Uranus on his Uranus. That can indicate something unusual happening. And he died from what they call temperature cramping. So happened, the exact position was on the day he died. So we can see things like that, like indications of what might happen in the eighth house. It's also about inheritance and legal cases we might go through. Ninth house is usually long distance traveling. 10th house is the workplace, where we work in small or larger groups. 11 is how we work as team members, like in Cincino. How well do you work together in the team, or who leads the team, and such. 12th house is a lot about we're ending things and we're starting something new. Or in some cases, if Sun or Moon is in the 12th house, it's about unfinished business with our parents. Most of us have that, whether we've finished the business or not. So, and today is also a special day because it's a 22-2. So it's a 222 day, and that means it's a gateway for us, and it's a gateway helping us synthesize the we could say the physical and the spiritual in our lives. So it's about this transformation and how we can kind of have that happen. So things are, this is just like this 1 week, even from the 17th till now, the 22nd. So a lot has happened just in these days, and we expect more because in April there will be 8 planets in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, which is the we could say the pathfinder, the people who go and discover new things and go and do, explorer type of thing. And with 8 planets there, most astrologers are saying, I've never seen anything like this before. I don't remember looking back how the having so many planets in Aries. So there's going to be a lot of changes, and that's why I say just knowing about where this is hitting your life for me is so important to understand it. And it's helped a lot of people to see their potential, plus people who have been clear on their dreams now understand that it's time to go ahead with them. It does not mean that everything we want to do will happen in 15 minutes or 15 days or something, but it means that we have a path designed for us that helps us understand where we should put our emphasis and what we should be aware of. Because when I'm doing a reading for people, I usually send them a chart like this, and then I read through it for them. First, the personal chart, and then we go into the transiting planets, and then I link together. From here to here is linked, from here to here. So it's seeing how basically everything more or less in our chart is supporting us in one way or another, or creating situations. Like if you look at the chart, you can see that there are blue and red lines in it. The blue lines, they indicate things that work together, and then or energies that work together, and the red lines, they indicate the lines that are at opposition, opposite energies. It could be air to fire, or it could be air to earth, or fire to earth, or something, which means that it's different energies. So there can be a little bit of tension, like earth just wants to kind of take it easy and nice and relax, and where's that red wine, and where's that chocolate, or fine meals or stuff like that. And air wants to get on that, or fire wants to get on that fire horse and ride like crazy, just crazy. So, and people can do that as long as they know where they're going and they're prepared. So I think we have a wonderful time ahead of us. I think Malin sent you a link if you want to order an astrology chart. Usually my reading, I sell what I call gold and silver. Gold means that we spend 75 minutes together, and I explain the chart and I show you where you need to work on issues that might be holding you back and where your potentials are. And then I have a silver one, and it's 50 to 55 minutes that I go through the same things in a Zoom meeting. Hello, baby. Little baby just joined us. Hello, baby. It's so beautiful to see the children are being born now, because they know exactly why they're here on the planet. You look into their eyes, they're just kind of maybe at 2 or 3 weeks old, and they're open eyes, and they know why they're here, and they look at everybody and they're wondering why the hell don't they understand too. So, and they're being born with psychic abilities, a lot of them. My granddaughter is 11 years old now. When she was 4 years old, she pulled me into her room, and her father was going to follow. Her parents are divorced. And she said, "No, Dad, you wait outside." And then she closed the door. And then she said to me, "Grandma, I remember when you talked to me when I was in my mother's womb." Nobody knew I was telepathically talking to her before she was born. I didn't tell anyone. So she would not have learned it from anybody. So we need to protect and look extra, especially well after the children that are basically being born after 2010, 2014, because they're the ones inheriting the planet, and they're not going to be marching off to war. That's not why they came here. They're going to help create peace, and we should too. So I think if there are any questions, I'm open to taking questions. If you just unmute yourselves or put up a hand, I mean, you can raise a hand on the bar down below. Then I'm ready to take questions for about 10 minutes. Hi, baby. So, any questions?
I can, if not, I don't
Okay.
find the
Yeah, it's okay.
the button. Um, how can we prepare in the best way for, you talked about April and June. How can we prepare in the best way, or the other months that are coming up?
The best way is to work on our inner balance so that we can respond to things that happen from our inner balance and not panic. That's really important. And just you don't need to meditate through guided meditation or anything, but just sitting down and kind of connecting with spirit in 10 or 15 minutes every day, having that quiet moment and listening to what's coming through to you is going to be really helpful.
Good. And also another question when we are just doing it, about handling people that you talked about. Lots of people are not aware of what's happening and all these energies and everything, but how to handle people that you, when you see them and actually see that they are struggling a lot.
We can offer to support them, but we cannot go up to them and say, hey, I really like you and you really have to get on this line. You have to do whatever I'm doing or things like that. It doesn't work. We have been people, we're all at different frequencies in different timelines. And there are people who have chosen to be here even when we think they should choose to be here because that's where we are. So trying to reroute somebody is not the right way. We can be there to support, we can be there to answer questions, but we cannot go up and say, because I love you so much, you have to do the way, do things the way that I'm doing them. It does not work. So
Thank
we
you.
just love people wherever they are.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have two sons that do not listen much to their mother. Of course, mom is not uh, a guiding post in boys' lives. But one of them recently got divorced and he's met a woman. And the wonderful thing was that he called me and said, Mom, can you make a chart for her? And can you tell me how we compare? So I thought that was a wonderful, huge step for him. So things happen if we just persist in doing what we feel is right, and then maybe people want to follow along. But we cannot reroute them. They have to make their own choices. But if they panic, we can talk to them by being balanced. Any more questions? We have one gentleman. I think we have Eli, and we have, was there one as well? No, I don't know. Kai. So usually when I do, I've been teaching, um, we could say personal development, empowerment seminars, seminars for women that have been sexually abused and different other aspects, diets and whatever, for 36 years. Now, the number of men that attend are usually like here, one or possibly two. And it hasn't changed, which is in a way sad because men need to have support in their lives too. And one of the things that we have an opportunity now to do is to cut the ties to our karma, everything that we've learned, all the patterns we've learned from our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents and on and on and on. Like, you have to do things this way because it's always been done this way. And we're so full of these patterns. And this is, in many cases, it's their karma, not ours. So what we can do is we can basically claim this stops here. And one of the things that I feel that we're here to make sure is that the abuse of children, whether it's male or female children, has to stop now. And I think that's one of the biggest things we've had exposed here in Iceland. There were homes that children that had been taken away from their parents because the parents were unfit to look after them and sent to a farm where they were sexually abused, where when they, not no emotional connection, no basically support for them. And when they returned at the age of 18 or even younger, at the age of 16, almost all of these young men, they were males, started drinking and doing drugs because they just couldn't live with what they had experienced as children. And so this has been we say surfacing since 1987. And we started in 1990, we started a special consultation group for women who'd been sexually abused. But men have also been sexually abused, and there's really been no support for them. So what we need to do is we need to honor and respect the men in our lives and look at the patterns that they're showing and the fear they have of us as women, because men don't trust women and women don't trust men. And we're the ones who can change this through our heart. And then we make it safe for them to share through their hearts as well. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we can do it. So anyway, if you want to uh, order a chart, you have a link. The website is in Icelandic, but there should be a link in the corner in for English, and in worst case scenarios, you can always send me an email. I think it should be there too. So thank you for attending. Thank the baby especially for being here. And you for showing up. I hope you have a wonderful evening. In Iceland, we are celebrating this as like the Women's Day, because we have it used to be the farmer and the kind of farm lady. So we have the Women's Day today here in Iceland. I don't know if you have that in Norway.
No, not yet. We have it 8th of March.
Oh, you have a date of March. Okay, so it's a little bit different
Yeah.
yeah, because we have this first, it's the male being respected with his bóndadagur, bónnadag, and then at the end of that period we have the women's one, konadagur. So you should give me a praise for my Norwegian.
Yeah.
But thank you, Gudrun, for your time and teachings or introduction to this, because it's so much information. So I'm gonna look through the recording.
Okay, wonderful. I'll stop now.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much. It was very good. And I recommend to have a full reading session with Gudrun because it's very, very useful. I had it for a year ago, so I probably have to do another one soon.
We have
So
to check where the planets are hitting. I'm not sure if we discussed that last time, but there are huge changes ahead for all of us.
But if you had a charge for half a year or something ago, do you have to make a new one for the what
No,
does it show in that one?
now the thing is that what I do, like in my chart, is like I print out the chart and then I draw all the positions into it.
Yeah.
So I think I did a reading for you about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So we could, I don't know if I have that on file, but I could print it out again for you, and then it would be a shorter reading or something. Just go through it. But what is important is that these charts, they show you also the dwarf planets.
Mm.
And they're the ones that are bringing in all the changes and all the expansion in our consciousness. So we're being lifted to new
Interesting.
timelines. Yeah.
Really interesting. And I
Okay.
really recommend it. I really recommend it.
Thank you.
You are very good. Thank you so much, Gudrun, for this session.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.